Welcome to my hunting journey, where I am sharing my journey learning to hunt as an adult to inspire and help others start hunting. With me tonight is Raj. This is our third podcast, which is exciting. And how's it going tonight, Raj?
Hey Todd, hey, it's going good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Busy, like we talked about a few minutes ago. The work at the office and the work at home, yeah, keeping me hopping.
Oh yeah, I can understand.
How about you? Staying
Yeah,
busy
it's
or not
it's
too bad?
busy. It's busy, but not too bad.
Not too bad. That's good. You said you had kickboxing tonight.
Oh yeah, I went to kickboxing today. Usually I go every day. I did
That's
not go
cool.
yesterday, but I did go today.
Do you feel unwound and relaxed after you do kickboxing?
Yes, I feel so relaxed. I feel so calm after kickboxing.
That's cool. I can totally imagine that. I don't do anything like that myself, but the exercise part, that's very fun and relaxing.
Yes,
Well, just to refresh our memories, in the last podcast, we talked about what your next step would be to look for some scouting opportunities. And and since that show, we've had some surprising developments.
we did have some surprising developments.
In fact, in that last show, you said, "Hey Todd, I have an idea. What if we what if we met up to hunt? What if you came to Texas and we hunted together?" And I thought, we started thinking that through. So that was a surprise from you, which was interesting and cool. And then I had a surprise. My daughter took a job for the summer in Colorado, and she needed to travel there to do a 2-day training. And so I had the opportunity to drive her up. And when I realized that, it made sense that maybe we could connect, right?
Yes, that's true.
So, yeah, which was cool. So I really packed it in. I have friends in the area and tried to see them. And you and I got to spend some time together too, which was cool. But we really packed it in. So we went scouting together, totally in Colorado, which was totally unexpected, out of the blue. But what a great opportunity.
It was a great opportunity, Todd. You made it, and you made my day.
Oh, wow. I could tell you said a couple of times like, wow, this really boosted my confidence about maybe you can elaborate a little bit on how it boosted your confidence.
As I say, hunting requires me to be physically fit and I need to be hiking and then looking at different things. I have not ventured earlier, so this is the first time that I went out with you. So I did not think or I did not have that kind of a confidence that I can hike for a couple of miles. I can go onto the top of the mountains and I can walk and the things that I need to carry. It's like it gave me a way in which I'm right now, I'm at a confidence level that I know what are the things that I can take to hiking. I mean, the next stage is like a hunting stage, but for the hiking part, I can take the list of items that I can go on my own, hike, and then come back safely. That is one confidence that I have after we have gone for hiking.
That's good. And maybe I'll repeat something we talked about as we hiked that we have to really respect nature, the outdoors, and especially the mountains. So we'll talk more as you're planning hikes. I'm available. You can contact me and we'll talk about your plans and make sure you've got something, that's safe on every level. You don't want to go out and not find your way back, right?
Yes.
So, but let's switch to talking about that hike. So we met up, it's been just over a week ago, week and a half ago. I drove into South Central Colorado, spent the night after I dropped off my daughter, and then got up early, which I love doing. I left by 4, I think it was, and met you at a gas station convenience store at 7:30 a.m.
Yes.
Friday morning.
Yes.
Friday morning turned out to be great because most people were at work, so we had the area that we went to do ourselves. That was nice. We had not met in person before, which is crazy to think. We've worked together for a couple of years now, but no opportunity to meet in person. So I have to say that was pretty exciting. I mean, the first time when I meet a person physically that I've met digitally, I'm always surprised in some way my brain has got it wrong, right? So I saw you and I was like, oh, maybe you're a little taller than I thought or a little shorter. I don't remember, but your brain has to adjust and like that was exciting and cool to see you in person for the first time.
Yeah, me too, Todd.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yes.
So that was cool. And we loaded up in my truck and I was glad that I brought my truck. It's the four-wheel drive and it fits a little higher. And the road we took was pretty rough once we started climbing up into the mountains. And I'll say also, this almost didn't happen. That's the other funny part is I said, hey, let's do this. And then I said, no, let's not. Yeah, let's do it. No, let's not. I was going back and forth because the whole trip was last minute. I was trying to find a good place we could go. And anyway, so finding this road was great. It was near where I needed to be and it wasn't too far from you. But for sure, we learned that you would not be able to drive your car on that road. It was far too rough for a car. It needed that higher clearance of my truck. But we drove up, we got some great views, found a place to park, and got out, loaded up. And probably the first thing that I noticed was, besides it being a perfect day, which it was, I mean, perfect weather, was I brought a set of trekking poles for you, and you were like, hey, what are these? These look kind of cool. So it turned out that you really like those trekking poles, I think, right?
Oh, yeah, Todd. A couple of things that I wanted to tell you that I came to know, it's like a learning for me. I came to know what I need to wear while I was going for trekking and what are the
Mm,
things that I need to carry on trekking. So this trekking post really helped, and then it's so good that I'm able to balance myself and then do the hiking part. Thank you very much for bringing them and sharing with me.
for sure. And then you ended up, let's, speaking of that, we should talk purchases as we do these podcast series. So after this, you end up buying a set for yourself to have. You like them so much.
Yes, Tom. Thank you very much for sending me the link.
Yeah,
I bought the same trekking poles that we were like using.
yeah, yeah. I love those. They're a very common item with backpackers, and they're super helpful. And the area that I noticed them being most helpful for both of us was those sections of the trail that still had snow on them,
Yes.
or snow ice combination.
Yes. Yes, Tom. They really helped me a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I I have not seen hunters using them except for me. I'm the only hunter I know that uses them. So, in fact, I was hunting one of the times this last season. A guy told me, "Oh, were you the guy with the trekking poles?" That's how he described me. He was in a tree and I was off in the distance, and that was the thing he noticed, right? Nothing else that I had trekking poles.
Oh, yeah.
So they're
Okay.
definitely not the common thing. Maybe in the mountains. I bet there's hunters using them in the mountains, right? You could really see the value there. So cool. So that was one piece of equipment that was we found and you found useful. What
Oh, yeah.
about beforehand? We talked about what to wear. What were the highlights and the key things you learned about what you should wear and not wear? What worked, what did not work for you?
I came there wearing a short, thinking that it's Colorado weather. It is going to warm up a little bit in the day. But I realized we need to wear nice pants where they can help me out in going. Jeans, I would not prefer taking jeans with me, but I need to wear some kind of pants that are applicable for hiking pants, kind of a thing. The second thing is shoes, hiking
Mm,
shoes or trekking shoes. I bought one shoes 5 years back, thinking that I would go for hiking or trekking. So glad that I still have those shoes with me. I was able to use those shoes. The layering part is one thing that really helped me. I had around like 3 layers to start with. That really helped us when we are going up the mountain. While we are coming down, we found that it is little bit warmer, so I had to remove some layers, and
Hmm.
layers did help me out. Water and some kind of a snacks we took along with us. So that really helped because in Colorado we need to be hydrated as much as we can. And I got
For
some
sure.
nuts that was like really useful whenever I felt hungry. I was munching on those nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all good stuff. I like everything you said there, and those are good takeaways. I think also one of the things I realized on this outing was how new the outdoors is for you, not just for hunting, but just period. So I was really glad we had the chance, to go together and get you that first kind of step. And in fact, I told you at the time that in my mind, I started to modify my goals a little bit. And doesn't mean you need to, but in my mind, I thought, for this season, even just getting out hiking, getting comfortable hiking. We even talked about you have a friend that does some backpacking. We talked about, hey, that would be a great thing to do, even if you didn't get all the way to doing a successful hunt this fall. I'm not saying you won't, but even if all that happened between now and the fall was you did some backpacking with a friend, you got nights in the outdoors, had those kind of experiences, that's a huge step. And I view hunting for sure as a journey, a series of steps, and you just build and build. So that would be a great step.
Yeah, Todd, I'm going to meet my friend on Monday, coming Monday. He's going to meet me. I'm going to talk to him about backpacking and hiking. So I'll keep you posted when we talk next
Cool.
time.
Yeah, that's a great idea because it would be impossible to do that and not learn a bunch with someone else that's doing it. And I'm not going to be there as often, so I love that idea.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about what we did. So we kind of geared up. Trekking poles stood out, and we had binoculars. I think you realize that, hey, that pouch for the
Yes.
binoculars you could kind of see the benefit of that versus having just the neck strap. Little things like that. Well, let me elaborate on that just a tiny bit. So we got there and you had brought just a neck strap for your binoculars, which makes sense in certain settings. But as you're going up and down, bending over, moving around, the binoculars will swing. And if you have the pouch, they're very secure. There's always stuff like that. I'm still finding things like that. And I only discover them by going. I can only do so much research and then I need to go and just experience and learn things. So that's another, I think, important takeaway is to get out as much as you can safely. I'll keep saying that also. Yeah, cool. So yeah, we headed out and we went a total of about, what did you end up recording? Was it 3 miles, 2.5, something like
Oh,
that?
yeah, close to around like 3 miles.
Okay. And we used my phone with Onyx. I did not have a paper map. I did have my compass. And I talked to you a lot about navigation and what I'm
Yes.
thinking. Some of that takes time. Some of it's just, you need to learn a lesson and then you apply it. But to get good at anything, it takes practice. You learn the basics and then you practice a lot, little by little. And I will keep emphasizing safety. You just really want to make sure you don't ever take such a big step that it's too big and you hurt yourself or you get lost, anything like that. But we had really good experience of like, okay, we're going to be going north and then we're going to turn and kind of go to the west and we're going to cross a ridge line. We're going to climb up and then make a long descent down into a valley. So we went through all of that and you could kind of get a chance to think about navigation and which way do you think? north is, and you figured it out, which is great. You looked at the sun and you figured it out. I was really happy to see that. The sun's a great reference. What are some things that you learned about navigation while
I
we were out
learned
there?
about navigation, how to see the maps. The one thing that I'm still not aware is when you have a compass and a map, I need to face it on the compass to the north, which I'm not aware how to see that. That's one thing that I've learned. And also identifying the routes and remembering the routes. And whenever we are lost, actually, how to navigate through the maps, like where exactly, how exactly this is going. So when we are going north, when we are going east, so we are just identifying those so that when we are coming back, we can remember those paths. These are a couple of navigation things that I have learned in this trip.
Yeah. And you're talking about the map to the north. The term people use, so they'll say, orient your map. And you want to orient it to the north. And you saw also on our way back, we had a moment where we stopped and we looked at this giant boulder, and neither of us remembered it from the trip, going out. We didn't see it because it didn't stand out, right? You got to a certain point and it was behind you and you couldn't see the size of it until you were coming from the other direction. So that was also a very interesting lesson to experience is how a trail can look different just coming the other direction. But how to take note of some landmarks along the way that you can use and remember. I think that was another good experience you had on that trail.
Yes, Todd. That is one experience that I had. And then at one point, I was almost lost. I was telling you a different direction. So glad
Mm,
I'm
yeah,
able to, I was able to, so you corrected me and I learned how to look into the map and identify the route.
yeah. Yeah, that was a nice, lucky sort of lesson. We came to that. It was a major intersection on a ridge line. Two trails were crossing. And I loved it. You were like, let me see if I can figure out which way to go. Yeah, you picked the wrong direction. Hey, that happens for sure. But once I gave you the map, which was just on my phone, we oriented my phone to the north as if it were a paper map using the compass, got it oriented. And then now you could look at the trail, look at the map. And when I asked you again, you were like, oh, it's this one behind us, not that one to my left. Got it right away. That was a cool lesson to have. It was a very visual experience of the importance of maps, compass, and just basic navigation skills. So, yeah, that was cool. That was fun.
One more to add is it is always to have a paper map handy as well if our
Yeah.
maps or electronic maps are frozen.
Yes. Or you drop your phone. Anything can go wrong with that map. So, yeah, that's a really great point. All right, so that's navigation. We definitely need to make more efforts to increase your navigation skills safely. The other thing was, I thought noteworthy, as we were descending down toward that creek, I have more navigation experience. But do you remember at one point we got to the bottom and I was not sure. I was like, are we at that creek? I'm not sure. It looked different, right? When we got down there, we were there. It looked different to me than what I imagined. The
Yes.
map in my mind, I was picturing more of an open valley, and it wasn't so open, and it was kind of steeper on the sides. And so it felt like we weren't there. But we had taken the time when we left, and we had estimated how long it would take us to get there. And based on time, we knew, like, we should be here. This is probably it. And then we start taking in other clues. And then eventually we just checked the phone and checked ourselves. And sure enough, we were there. So that was another, I thought, real nice experience. You could see that even someone with more experience, I'm not going to call myself like some great navigator, but even with more experience, I needed to slow down. I have to do that and really take in the different factors and evaluate and think. And so it's a good lesson too.
I agree, Todd. Yes. It's a good
Cool.
lesson.
All right, so here's the big question. We were scouting. That was the original plan, was to scout. Did we see any wild game?
We saw footprints of wild game.
We did. That's true. We
Yes,
saw, it's like we call that sign. So we saw signs of game. Did we see any actual wild game? Like grouse or squirrels or deer or anything like that?
not we haven't seen them this
No.
time.
Yeah, so we heard birds. We saw a few little songbirds, but we didn't see any. I still consider this to be a successful scouting trip. We learned the human sign on the way out. We saw some people had put ladder, uh, you know, pieces of wood on a tree, and there was a camp nearby. It looked like people were climbing up those and sitting on a
Yes.
stand to hunt. So right away we knew, yep, not surprising. We're close to the two major cities, so probably people are coming here to hunt. But yeah, we saw deer tracks and other things. We saw some droppings that were large.
Yes.
I didn't check on those. I think it might have been elk. It was not deer. It was not rabbit. It was too big for that. It wasn't coyote. It wasn't bear. They're kind of big and round. I thought maybe elk, but I have not looked into that. We also saw the creek itself. You commented how nice it sounded.
Oh
What
yeah,
was,
I
what did
love
you
it.
say about that creek?
It's so calming, and the sound
Yeah,
that really, for me, it's like calms me down and reduces the anxiety. The creek sound.
yeah, yeah. I feel the same way. Super relaxing. In fact, we took that spot and we just sat down and ate some of our snacks and just,
Yes.
soaked it up. That was great. I enjoyed that a lot. The other thing I really had a good time and enjoyed was visiting and just talking, which, so backpacking and hunting, you could think, hey, backpacking is just about walking on a trail and hunting is about finding an animal and killing it and eating it. But both of those things, backpacking especially, it's for me as much about talking and visiting with whoever I'm with. If I'm by myself, I'm praying, talking to God. But if I'm with someone else, I'm talking and visiting. And in the case of hunting, it's a little different. I can, if I'm with someone else and I'm talking too much, it can scare away the wild game. If if you saw me hunting with my son-in-law, I did that sometimes talking too much, and I think I probably hurt our hunting chances at some moments. But in this case, we had a great time just visiting, and just talking about life. And that's another aspect of the outdoors that I love. How did you like that part? Just the visiting and talking. Did you
Yeah,
like
it's
that?
good. I have a question here on the visiting and then talking. I know that we are like talking. I still vaguely remember you said that we can be louder while we are doing it. I'm a little confused on that part. When we are
Yeah.
going for hunting, do we need to be quiet
Mm, yeah.
or we should be talking or making sounds? So this is a little confusing for me. I thought of asking you that day itself. Then once I came down, I started remembering some stuff. I wanted to ask
Mm.
this question too.
Good question. What I was saying at the time was a couple things. I was talking about there's two ways that I scout. One way is I go into the woods as quietly as I can. I'm trying to blend in, and I'll do like still hunting, which is you move really slow and really quiet, and you stop a lot. You'll walk one or two steps, three steps as quietly as you can, and then stop, and you'll just stand and listen and look. I wrote a newsletter recently about this, how I've mentioned it multiple times in newsletters, how you can miss things that are right there because you're not slowing down enough. So that's one way. Very quiet, still hunting. I'm trying to physically see the wild game. I want to spot a deer there goes a deer. Wow, cool. The second kind is I I forgot that's my Mac doing that. The second kind is I want to go. fast and just look for signs of animals. So the deer tracks, right? Or the droppings, or the male deer, bucks, they'll rub their antlers on trees or they'll dig the ground. So there's things like that where I'm going to go fast and I want to cover as much ground as I can and look for signs of animals. And I might even see the real animals too. But so that's the two different kinds. When you go hunting for real, quiet is important.
Okay.
So if you're making a lot of noise, animals have great senses. They'll hear us. Many animals will hear us from a long distance. So quiet is a really essential thing. Yeah, you bet. But the thing that I highlight here is it was great visiting and talking. To me, that's a big part of backpacking. It's a big part of hunting. Let's say we go out and we're going to go hunting, we have to be real quiet. Well, when we go back to camp and hang out, or we go to a restaurant afterwards and hang out, we're going to talk. And it's that shared experience and you'll talk about your hunting, but you also just talk about other things. You talk about life. And it's something I love about the outdoors because you're getting away from technology and all the distractions, and it just changes things. It changes the conversation. It makes the conversations, I think, a lot better, in my opinion. What do you think from this experience about that?
Agree, Todd. It's very good. The conversations were very good, and I loved the entire trip. And I could feel some kind of happiness after I have come down.
Yeah,
I felt so happy and some kind of I got some relief from my already blocked head with multiple things happening.
yeah, very good. I enjoyed it so much. So we made the long descent down to that creek, and then we made the long hike up, kind of paced ourselves, maintained our breathing, didn't get too winded. Um, well, definitely we were working on that long climb out. Drove back out and had some lunch. That was fun. Little Arby's beef and cheddar. Haven't had one of those in years. That was a nice way to finish up. And we packed it in 6 hours is all we had, but that was a good time.
That
Nice
was a
way to
good
finish
time.
with some food. Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's next. You started to plan a hiking trip with your daughter for this past weekend. You got some good experience with hauling the Ranger, checking on conditions. What did you find out? What did you learn there about planning a hike and all that?
I thought of going for a hike the next week itself with my daughter. I just asked her, and then she said okay. And then
Yeah.
I tried to do for a lookout which is called as a Devil's Lookout, but unfortunately that's closed for the season. But I think they're gonna reinstate in the month of May, maybe probably after Mother's Day
Mm.
or during that week of Mother's Day week. After I've come down, so I contacted one friend. He just said hello to me, and then I said I went on a hike. So he said that he's going to accompany me for hiking.
The
So he
same
said
friend that
that
does backpacking?
he's another friend, but he wants to do
Okay.
hiking with me. That's one. Second thing is I contacted a backpacking friend, and then I'm going to meet him this coming Monday evening. I'll keep you posted. Third one is my daughter has agreed to come with me for hiking. She wants us to stay fit as well. So I am right now planning to see what best I can do for the couple of weeks from now. This weekend, there is a high possibility that I might go with my friend, not with my daughter, but I'm going to plan for the coming weekends. At one weekend, I'll try to go with my daughter. Last week, glad that I did not go for hiking because there was snow in Colorado. That's the plan I
Good.
have. Considering that I bought the trekking poles.
I like your plan. I love that you're connecting with others, which will accelerate your learning. And I love that you're making plans with your daughter because that's been such a positive experience for me with my daughters. So I think that's all exciting to hear. And yeah, that's great. And I really am excited to hear how it goes. what happens next.
Yeah, me too. Very excited.
Very cool. Well, anything else that you can think of from our scouting hiking trip that we should talk about, or is this a
Yeah,
good place to
I
stop?
think we covered most of the things.
I think so too. It was a good review of the outing. So, well, that's fantastic. I guess we'll wrap it up here. And Raj, it's been great to catch up tonight. Nice to get our third podcast under our belt as we learn here. And hope you have a great evening.
Yeah, you too, Todd.
All right. Thank you. And we appreciate everyone listening to My Hunting Journey podcast and joining in as we work together, Raj and I, on helping him get his hunting journey started. So thank you. Have a great evening or
Thanks.
day.